Hey guys, Sean C. Phillips here on that brand new DVD Blu-ray Tuesday Sean Bear today. Taking to go out today, see what things came out, see what things are on sale. I know today some of the only big releases that are coming out are Tully and then Overboard. Other than that, I think there's a couple other things, but also gonna go to a thrift store, one of the ones I haven't been to in a long time, and that one usually has some stuff, so hopefully I can find some things. Also, the end of this video is gonna be a whole bunch of new DVD and Blu-ray reviews, some really cool stuff, a new release from Dread Central of Hell and Back, the documentary on Kane Hodder, and some stuff from Shout Factory, Arrow Video, tons and tons of stuff, so definitely stay tuned for those at the end of this video. But anyway though guys, let's get going and see what we can find today. Into Target we go. And like I said, the main things that came out today was Overboard, which is the remake, which I actually thought this was a fun remake. You know, if you guys like the original one, this one kind of changed where it's now the guy was the rich one who went overboard and lost his memory, and then the girl who like kind of pretended like she was married to him and took advantage of him and had him like help and work around the house and everything. I don't know, I thought it was funny. I always love Anna Faris as well, and the main guy, actor who was from, Instructions Not Included and How to Be a Latin Lover. And also Tully was today. That one's $22.99. I saw this one in theaters. I thought this was actually pretty good about, Charlize Theron's character, who's like a new mother who just had her child, and she's kind of like really kind of like having all kind of problems dealing with it. So, her brother hires this night nanny to take care of the kid at night and kind of help her be able to chill out and sleep. And this movie, Dark Crimes, came out today, starring Jim Carrey. This like detective film. He was actually really different in this movie. I like this a lot. Also, Kings was today. This was set during the LA riots and stars Halle Berry and Daniel Craig. Another one that I liked. And this one, I don't know much about this one. If you guys have seen this one, Miracle Season, let me know how this one was. Other than that, though, I think over here in the kids section, this one released today as well. I think both of these were today. The Star Wars Rebels, which is the complete 4th season of that. That one's $34.99. They have the DVD as well as Aquaman, Rage of Atlantis. And this is one of the Lego. This is one of the other Lego movies. This has an exclusive figurine in this one. And that one's, $19.99 for the Blu-ray, and then $14.99 for the DVD. I also think over here in the TV section, I believe this one came out today, Counterpoint, and there's a Blu-ray of this one as well. It doesn't look like they have the Blu-ray. And I think The Men Who Built America, The Frontiersman, I believe that one was also today as well. Into Walmart we go. I love the stand here that says Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, and these are just like generic dollar dinosaurs that they filled this thing with, because I can guarantee this wasn't what this was originally for. It's just funny, these like super generic ones in here, Nature's World ones. These make me think of, Clifford, when he had that dinosaur in that, the Martin Short movie with him and Charles Grodin. But it's just really weird they filled this with all these dinosaurs that are like real generic. But in here though, like I said, the big things were Overboard, and that one's $19.96 here. They have Tully as well for $19.96 as well. They also have that one, Miracle Season. Like I said, if you guys have seen this one, let me know if this one was any good. And they have the Jim Carrey film Dark Crimes as well. And they have the exclusive edition, which includes the DVD and the Blu-ray. They've been doing that lately, where they're having certain ones where they are exclusive to have the DVD as well. And they also have the Kings as well for $12.96. But next week, there's a whole lot of stuff coming out, and they should be getting those more of the new versions of the Deadpool ones, where they add Deadpool's face into the cover. So I think there's maybe 6 or something new ones, something like that, coming out next week that are Walmart exclusives. So definitely going to check those ones out then. Into the Valley Thrift Store we go. It's been it's really busy in here today, but it's been well over a month or so since I've been in here, so it's been a while. So we'll see. I'm sure the Blu-ray section and DVD section is very busy. Well, it's actually only 2 people over here, so we'll go in here and see what we can find. But they seem pretty well stocked up. There's a whole bunch of stuff down here on the bottom. And then it's it seems like there's a lot more stuff, so we'll look through all this and see if there's anything in here different. You never know. I found some decent things in here, but every so often, sometimes it's just kind of the same stuff a lot. But it definitely is one of the, I feel like one of the busiest thrift stores I've ever been to my entire life. Because some thrift stores, you go in there and there's never much going on at all. This one is never like that. But like I said, we're going to look through all this and see. The majority of everything here is $2 for the DVDs. And then there's a couple random ones that are priced more, if there's any Disney ones, those are usually more money, like the Disney Blu-rays and stuff. But like I said, just going to pretty much sort through all this and look through and see if I can find anything different today. And I did see one out of print thing here, The Gods Must Be Crazy. I've never actually seen the one where it was just part 1. That's kind of interesting. I have the one that has part 1 and 2, but yeah, that one is one of the out of print ones that I see today. Yeah, so I looked around there forever. There was a whole bunch of stuff in there. The only out-of-print thing I came across was The Gods Must Be Crazy. But like I said, I've never actually seen that separately. You know, I have the double pack that has both of them together, but like that was weird to see that one, you know, the solo of part 1. Like I said, that's one I've never seen before, but other than that, nothing really that different. And this past weekend, I saw a couple different films. The first one I saw was the latest Mission Impossible film, Mission Impossible Fallout. And when it comes to the Mission Impossible movies, I feel like I've pretty much liked all of them. I mean, I didn't absolutely love Rogue Nation, but other than that one, I thought this one was really good. You know, I liked that Simon Pegg and Ving Rhames' characters had really big roles in these ones, because there's one of them where Ving Rhames' character was only in it for a little bit, but this one is basically though about Tom Cruise's character having to try and stop the sale of this plutonium and get it from this guy because he had big plans for it and everything. That's pretty much what it was him like going through this chase around trying to get it back, or keep him from getting it. The other one I saw was 8th grade, which I keep only wanting to call that one middle school, but it was 8th grade, and it was basically about this girl who was, getting ready to graduate from 8th grade, and it was all about her kind of problems at the school and kind of getting bullied and picked on, and sort of trying to, she was doing like YouTube videos kind of talking about how to, survive and make friends and all that, but yet at the same time, she wasn't like almost not listening to her own advice in some ways, and it was just kind of, it was very true to how middle school, is, because like I really disliked middle school. Like that was like some of my worst years of my entire life, and so I could relate to that. But it was interesting now too, seeing the kids in middle school, all on their cell phone the entire time, and all that kind of stuff of how much it's changed, because like when I was in middle school, like really no one was on the cell. They were like the cell phones, like you could just sort of like send like simple text. And I don't think I even got a cell phone until like I was in like the 10th grade or something. And the other one that I saw was He Won't Get Far on Foot Anyway, which is the latest Gus Van Sant film, which stars Joaquin Phoenix, Jonah Hill and Rooney Mara. I have to say, Jonah Hill, I think this is probably like his best performance ever. He was so good in that movie and so different. It was like one of the most different kind of parts I've ever seen him play. But it's about Joaquin Phoenix's character, who is this man who was in a terrible accident and ended up being paralyzed. And he, because he was drinking, he was a terrible drinker, absolute alcoholic, and he was out one night crazy partying with Jack Black's character and gets in this accident, and it kind of flashes back about how it happened and his life and like different points of bad alcoholism, and it was about him going to rehab and trying to kind of get himself together and everything. But it was so well done. Joaquin Phoenix was amazing in it as well. I really am interested in seeing how he's going to play the Joker, because there's going to be the standalone movie where he's going to be playing the Joker, and I really cannot wait to see how he does that part. But anyway though, guys, if you guys saw any of those ones, let me know what you thought of them, or what movies you guys got to see this past weekend if you saw anything. Into Best Buy we go. Yeah, but in here today, not really seeing anything else too different today. Like I said, really the only big thing that they have in here today is Overboard. And in the front of the store, they had Tully as well. But other than that, though, doesn't seem like they have anything else different that I'm noticing. Because like next week, there's going to be a whole bunch of new stuff like Predator 4K. There's tons and tons of stuff coming up. They do have this sale, though, if you guys have 4K, which is a good price. 2 for $30 here. They have like The Equalizer, Fifth Element, Baby Driver, The Quick and the Dead, which just came out. So that's a pretty decent thing, Groundhog Day. So if you guys have 4K, that's a pretty good sale going on right now. So anyway though, guys, that's all for this DVD Blu-ray Tuesday shopping video today. Like I always say, if you guys enjoy these shopping videos, definitely give this video a thumbs up. Also, let me know in the comments below if you guys picked up anything today. Now stay tuned now for a whole bunch of new DVD and Blu-ray reviews. And the first one I got here from Arrow Video is the Herschell Gordon Lewis film, The Gore Girls. And this movie now is available in a single release, because you guys don't know, all the Herschell Gordon Lewis films were released in a giant box set a little over a year or so ago, I believe. Might have been 2 years, I'm not 100% sure, but little by little, Arrow Video has been releasing single standalone releases of the Herschell Gordon Lewis films. This one's actually a really, really fun movie. It's basically though about like at this go-go club, the dancers are getting killed off, and they hire this guy who's this detective. He's this real wacky guy and has like weird techniques and everything, and they hire him to try and get to the bottom of who is killing off these people, and it's kind of like this whole detective thing about him trying to figure out who it is. And if you guys don't know Herschell Gordon Lewis films, he was always called, you know, the godfather of gore, because he was one of the first people to be making these super over-the-top, insane, gory movies at a time when that was not what was being done. And he was one of the first people to be making those type of movies with these, like, this level of gore, because that was not the kind of thing that was happening at the time when he was doing these movies. So he was kind of started the whole trend of it. But this has on here the bonus feature film, This Stuff or Kill You. It has introductions to the film by Herschell Gordon Lewis, as well as commentary tracks. It has a commentary on here with the camera operator on This Stuff or Kill You. But a really cool movie if you guys don't have this one or have the Herschell Gordon Lewis box set. And next one I got here from Arrow Video as well is a movie here called What Have They Done to Your Daughters? This is a giallo film. It's basically about this girl who was found, you know, hung in this like abandoned building, and it looked like at first that it was like a suicide, but then they come to realize that she was actually murdered. And it's kind of the whole investigation on this girl, but then also other girls are kind of, and other people are kind of popping up dead as well along while this investigation is. And the killer is wearing a motorcycle racing outfit. The music in this, though, it's got really cool music. Really love the music on this. It has on here, though, a brand new 2K restoration of the film. It has the English language dub version as well as the original Italian language version as well. Has a commentary track on here with the writer of the book So Deadly, So Perverse, 50 Years of Italian Giallo Films on here as well. But a really cool movie. Like this one I had never seen before. And inside of here, though, it has a book with some pictures and stuff like that about the movie as well in this one. The next one from Arrow Video, I just want to let you guys know this one is available. It's a movie here called The Street Mobster. And this has on here a commentary track on here with Japanese film expert Tom Mess. This is a film here from 1972. Inside of here, you know, it has a booklet as well with some pictures from the movie and some facts and stuff like that about the production. That's always a cool thing. And Arrow Video includes, you know, in a number of their releases is, you know, booklet and stuff like that in their film, you know, their Blu-ray releases. The next one here is from Shout Factory, and this is a movie that I watched as a child so many times. I always really loved this movie. Of course, I liked E.T., but this one, I watched this so often. I really liked the music in this movie, and this movie here, you know, is from Shout Factory, and I was so excited when I heard they were releasing this. And this is the collector's edition here of Mac and Me, and I watched this again, you know, like a couple days ago, and this is like the first time I had seen this movie in years and years, and I really do like this movie. It really is such a fun film, and like there's just something really fun about it. There's even this one like montage song, and it's kind of like, what a weird kind of montage with this song, because it was kind of randomly the way it happened and the way they were using this music. But it's essentially, though, about this family of aliens that get sucked into like the this sort of ship that gets sent to kind of collect rock samples, and it gets taken back to Earth, this little alien and his family. And then when they get back to Earth, the little alien, you know, runs away, and his family is kind of lost as well out in the middle of the desert. But this little alien ends up getting in the car of this kid and his brother and his mother, who are moving to this new house. And they start, when their house, they start sort of seeing this alien, like, kind of scurrying around the house. And it's essentially, though, about the alien kind of, like, you know, being, like, friends with them and his family trying to kind of get back to them. You know, and they never really say his name, but I think it's Mac and Me is, like, Mac because of, like, Big Mac, because, you know, McDonald's had a lot of, like, sponsorships and stuff in this movie. But there's also a lot of other, like, you know, product placement in this movie, like Skittles, and because, you know, E.T. had Reese's Pieces. This movie had Skittles. They also had, like, Coca-Cola. Coke was, like, a huge thing in this movie, and even has a huge thing with the aliens. But, I don't know, there's just something really fun about this movie. The aliens do have, like, an odd look. Even as a kid, I always thought that. And, you know, I don't know, I always thought they had this, like, a really strange, sort of creepy look to them. But, honestly, it was really fun to watch this again. I think it honestly had been, like, over 10 years or longer since I've seen this again. This has on here, though, a commentary track on here with the director, as well as the co-writer and a film historian, and has an interview on here with the director, kind of talking about where it was shot, and then some of the stuff about things that were kind of perceived as over the top and stuff like that. He got into a lot of interesting stuff in the interview on this. He also has an interview on here with the songwriter, theatrical trailers, TV spot, and a still gallery. But if you guys haven't seen this one, I think you guys have to watch, definitely should watch it. It's just a really fun movie. The next one here is from Lionsgate. This is one I really like this movie. I thought this was a really fun film called Measure of a Man. This is set, I think it was like 1970 something, and it's basically about this kid with his sister and his parents. They go and stay at this kind of like beach house, sort of like not really a beach house, but like kind of like a resort kind of like cabin kind of area where people kind of just sort of go for the summer. There's some people who live there, and the people who live there don't really like the people who are kind of going as tourists, or, you know, only go for the summer months. But this kid's there, and he needs to figure out what he's going to do for the summer. His sister she's working at a camp, and it's kind of looking like he's going to have to go to a camp, but he doesn't want to do that. So he ends up finding an ad, with this guy who needs work around he has this huge property. It's the guy's played by Donald Sutherland, and he has this huge property with all this land that needs to be kind of taken care of. And this kid's like goes there to sort of take care of the property, because he's also in a really bad mood because, this girl that he's friends with, she ends up having to leave for most of the summer, and that's kind of the person he was always hanging out with. So he goes and works for Donald Sutherland. Donald Sutherland's character is real stickler for all these rules, and like he's got to be there exactly on time, and if he's not on time, he starts docking his pay, and if he doesn't do everything perfect, he docks his pay. So he's got all these kind of problems, and it's like he starts having all these issues, and he's also dealing with these bullies that are giving him all sorts of issues as well. It's essentially a coming of age film, though, and one of the better ones. I really thought the main kid, though, did a really good job in this, and you really felt for him too, because he was going through all sorts of problems, and his father too. His parents were having sort of like a rough time going on, and the father kind of disappears at one point, and they're having like some issues and everything. So it's kind of like all these sort of issues that are going on this summer, and this kid with the bullies and having to work for Donald Sutherland's character, and all sorts of things going on. But really, really thought this was like a great coming-of-age film. And the next one I got here from Lionsgate as well. It's the brand new 4K Ultra HD edition here of The Transporter 3, which stars Jason Statham. These are a really, really fun series of films. It's basically about Jason Statham's character who's like driving really fast and has like these certain type of things he has to deliver in a certain period of time. And he's someone who's like quicker than anyone else, can always get to things super quick. He's like the kind of person they would go to if he has to deliver something really, really fast. But this movie has a twist, though. His character ends up getting forced into driving this thing that he doesn't want to have to do. And the people that he's working for put this thing on his wrist, where if he ends up getting more than I think it's like 90 feet away from the car, he will explode, because it's basically a bomb that's on his wrist. So it ends up being like this whole problem. And there's also this girl who's in the passenger with him as well. And it's pretty much like he has to there's people kind of coming after him, and the cops and stuff, and there's always sort of situations that happen where, he ends up having to get too far away from the car, and then he has to figure out how he's going to get back in the car really quickly so he doesn't explode. So it adds that whole level of kind of craziness going on. But like I said, these are crazy, action-packed films. Really fun movie. Has on here, though, the same features from the past Blu-ray release, but the features are on the 4K disc as well, and it has on here some featurettes on the movie, has a commentary track on here with the director, and 4K-wise, though, definitely looks great. Like I always say, the big thing with 4K is the HDR, which is the high dynamic range. Has a higher contrast levels to the film, deeper darks. It has like brighter levels, basically brightens the whole film up as well. But really, really fun film if you guys are a fan of this series. And just like I said, one of you guys know this one is available on 4K now. And the next one here is from Epic Pictures, from their Dread Central Presents line. I have a link below where you guys can go to order this one. And this is the documentary on Kane Hodder, To Hell and Back, the Kane Hodder story. And this is a really, really, really well done documentary. And it's all about the life of, stuntman and actor Kane Hodder, who, is best known for playing Jason in the later Jason films. And he played Jason more times than anyone else. It was 4 different times. Everyone else had only played him 1 time. And he was like, when I think of Jason too, I always think of him. He's like was always the best, and he like added so much to the character with like the breathing and everything. This documentary is all about kind of how he started out and how like he was dealing with when he was younger about some extreme bullying, like some terrible bullying. It deals with as well too when he was, younger, when he was just starting out, he had this effect where he was really badly burned, and it kind of talks all about to his recovery process, and he gets into so much detail, and he gets into detail like, it's some really emotional stuff in this. Like he really opened up all about himself, and I really like Kane Hodder too when he does like comedy kind of roles, because he does some kind of like comedic kind of roles in some movies as well, because he's in tons and tons of horror films, and like I really like, he was like in Among Friends doing kind of a comedy role. I don't know, I like him. He really is funny when he does like some comedic kind of parts, but he's been in tons of stuff like Frozen, and there was one thing called like, I think Smothered, I think. It was like him and Bill Moseley were in it. I think that might have been what it was called, but he's been in lots and lots of stuff. This has on here though over 90 minutes of deleted scenes, but in here though it has interviews with like Robert Englund talking about him, Cassandra Peterson, known as Elvira, tons and tons of people, that are talking all about him and like working with him and his whole, and it's basically him talking about his whole career and kind of everything and like the ups and downs of his life. But highly recommend you guys check this out, and has in here the DVD and a Blu-ray copy of the movie. The next one here is from Universal. This is the Gabrielle Union film, Breaking In. This includes the director's cut of the film as well as the theatrical cut of the movie. I saw this one in theaters as well. I really like this. This is, I've always been a fan of Gabrielle Union for years, and this is about her. In the beginning of the movie, though, her father ends up getting hit by a car and dies. And just because you find out too what's going on. It's essentially though, she goes to with her kids to, she hasn't seen her father in years. They were kind of estranged, but she goes to, see his house, and he has this super modern house with all kind of like locks, and it's like these weird sort of locks, and it's sort of like a real kind of safe house with like, all these sort of like contraptions and everything to trying to keep him safe, because you can tell he was sort of paranoid about certain things. So he had all these locks and everything on the windows and these things that would kind of come down the shutters and everything. But essentially when she goes there to kind of clean up the house because she's not sure if she's going to sell it or what she's going to do, when she gets in there though, she's outside at one point, and these bad criminals that end up locking in the house with her kids, and they want something, and they're in there trying to get something, and it's basically her trying to figure out how she's going to get back in the house and get the kids, and the kids are kind of trapped in there, and these criminals are in there sort of searching through the house, tearing it all apart, causing a big problem. And it's essentially, it's like a revenge thing about her, like, she's not going to take this, and she's going to get into this house and get her kids safe. I like this. I thought this was a very different role for her. I haven't seen her doing this kind of role like this. There's been some similar kind of movies to this in the last couple of years, but I like this. I really did like this, and I knew though when I saw this in theaters that there was definitely going to be an uncut version of this movie. You could just tell there's some stuff that kind of seemed like they might have dubbed over the lines and everything to get it at PG-13. This has on here though a bunch of different featurettes on the movie, deleted and extended scenes on this one, as well as a commentary track on here with the director and scriptwriter. The next one here, Warner Brothers sent over a free copy of this one to let you guys know about, and this is the new Melissa McCarthy film, Life of the Party. And this is basically about Melissa McCarthy's character. In the very beginning of the movie, her daughter is going to like her last year of college, and she's going to be like staying there at the sorority house. And right when this is going on, I'm pretty sure it was her last year of college. I kind of got confused with that part. But essentially, though, her husband, Melissa McCarthy finds out that her husband was cheating on her. And he's like, I'm leaving you, and I've got this other woman. And she's like really depressed about all this. And she she always had regrets in her past because she was just about to graduate from college with her character years back, right when she got married. And she decided to have kids and, not finish school. But because her husband left, she's like, well, I'm going to go back to school. I'm going to get my degree. So she ends up going back and actually going as a senior with her daughter. And she's like, goes and stays in her sorority house and ends up being a sorority sister. And it's like really awkward for the daughter because her mother is there kind of coming to the parties and like, hooking up with younger guys. And there's all sorts of like wacky kind of ridiculous over the top stuff going on with Melissa McCarthy's character. trying to kind of relive her youth and kind of like capture the kind of stuff that she lost because she got married when she was younger and all that. And I don't know, I always like Melissa McCarthy. This one isn't, you know, is a PG-13 one, so it's not as like crazy as some of the other Melissa McCarthy movies. But this has on here though some featurettes in the movie, deleted scenes, linorama, as well as a gag reel on this movie. But if you guys like Melissa McCarthy, it definitely is a fun, like I said, wacky kind of stuff about her going back to school and like kind of doing, you know, reliving her, you know, youth and trying to, you know, graduate, but at the same time she's there kind of forgetting it sometimes too why she's at school. She's just sort of there to mess around as well. And the next one I got here from Warner Bros. As well. They sent her a free copy of this one as well to let you guys know about. This is Riverdale, the complete second season. If you guys don't know this series, this is based on the Archie comic book series. And it's pretty much, you know, all the characters from the Archie comic book. And it's set, you know, now with a modern kind of twist on it. And if you guys don't know, too, this show has, like, every sort of kind of drama you can imagine. Like, anything that can kind of go wrong with Archie and his friends. Like, every sort of drama, relationship kind of problems. People kind of after Archie's family. And all sorts of kind of problems that go on this show. I've only watched a couple episodes of the show, you know, here and there, but it's actually a pretty interesting, you know, like I said, it's a really different take on the comic book with a really serious, you know, twist. But it has on here though 5 featurettes on the film, you know, on the show. It has the Comic-Con 2017 panel. It has deleted scenes, a gag reel on this one. The next one's here. This one is from Magnolia and as well as Shudder, and this is a movie here called Dead Shack, and this was great. This one and the next one are two of my favorite ones, you know, in this review portion. But it's called Dead Shack, and it's basically though this. Group of these kids, the one's friend, but they, you know, they go with their dad and the one's friend to go to this kind of cabin for a couple days as like a little like vacation. But when they get there though, there's like a nearby shack that, you know, this woman lives in, and in this shack she has like these zombies that are like in there, and she's like feeds people. She like lures like men to the house for the zombies to feed on them. But of course though, these kids are exploring, you know, why the dad is like in the cabin drinking with his girlfriend, and they kind of wander out there and they witness this woman bringing these guys into the cabin. And, you know, of course, you know, they see them getting attacked by these zombies. And so that's a terrible thing because they witness that. And the woman is played by Lauren Holly, I believe, you know, who was from Dumb and Dumber, you know, who was Mary Swanson in that. And it's basically though she's going after these kids with these zombies, but it's a like I said, it's a very different take on zombie films. It's not like the real typical kind of thing, and I really got into this. I thought it was really fun. It has really cool music as well, like some old school synth to this, and it's like definitely more of like a dark comedy horror. And definitely highly recommend this if you guys like zombie movies, but you also like comedy horror movies. And I don't know, I really liked everything about this. I just thought this was a really fun movie, really unexpected, because I didn't know too much about this one going into this. But definitely watch this. The same with the next one here, a movie called Marrowbone, which Anya Taylor-Joy's in this one, Charlie Heaton, Maya Goth, and this is, like I said, is Marrowbone. And this is about this family who ends up moving back to, you know, they came from Europe to kind of get away from someone, and they came with their mother, and their mother was really sick. They moved back to where she grew up in this like kind of like big sort of mansion that's kind of now kind of dilapidated and run down. And, you know, of course she says to her oldest son, you know, all you have to do is, you know, keep hidden until you're 21, and then, you know, you can take care of your younger brothers and sisters and don't have to worry about it. Because since the mother was dying and she dies in the very beginning of this movie, she's really worried that they'll be separated, so he has to kind of hide them in this house and kind of keep them hidden, you know, so no one kind of discovers them and no one knows that the mother has died. So it's kind of them in the house, and he's kind of trying to keep everything together. But there's some weird, like, creepy stuff going on in this house. Like, the mirrors in there are all covered over, and if the mirrors are exposed, the one mirror starts kind of cracking, and you start kind of like, the kids sort of start to see really weird things, and there's really weird stuff. It's one of those movies, when it comes to like the level of like creepiness, it's got that Serious Session 9 kind of vibe. It was really giving me that vibe, like where there's one or two things in this which were so creepy and like effectively creepy. You know, Anna Taylor, you know, Joy, who is from, you know, Split, is in this, and she's the one girl who the older brother, you know, kind of starts to like, and she, like, he met her the one day, you know, outside the house in this kind of creepy, like, skull-like tree. Maya Goth, I'm always a fan of, you know, is in this movie as well as the one sister. But this is like I said, super creepy movie with some really, really unexpected stuff. This has on here the deleted and extended scenes, behind the scenes of the film as well. The next one here is from Sony, and this is the complete first season here of the show, The Good Doctor. And this has the main actor from, you know, Bates Motel, and I always think of him from, you know, the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, you know, the new, you know, the remake film. I always been a fan of him, and he, you know, he's a really good actor, and this is basically him, and he plays a character who has autism, as well as he's, you know, autistic, but he's also super, super intelligent, and, you know, he's a surgeon, and it's kind of about him. You know, the one guy who's the head of this surgery, this hospital, kind of tries to talk them into allowing him to come there and be a surgeon. They're all like, well, he has autism. Can he do this? Is this something that he can handle? And it's essentially about his character kind of coming to this hospital and having to sort of prove himself that he can do this. But he's also got certain kind of quips and things like that because he has autism that he has to sort of deal with. And the people who work with him have to kind of deal with this as well, and kind of like they've never really dealt with something like this. And it's essentially, though, about him, you know, trying to prove himself to the people at the hospital, and then also really being super intelligent with being able to look at someone and kind of discover things that other people wouldn't be able to about their conditions and everything. It's actually a very, very interesting, you know, series. I know the new season of this is starting up as well in the fall. This has on here, though, deleted scenes, gag reel, as well as a behind-the-scenes featurette on the show here. This one here is from Sony as well. This is a really emotional film, you know, really well made. And the main actor in this, he's actually a real writer as well. And, you know, and that was kind of an interesting aspect to this. I think this is the first movie that he's been in. It's a movie here called The Rider. And this is basically, though, about this guy who, you know, rides horses, and that's sort of like how he makes a living. He goes to, like, the, you know, shows and things like that, but he ends up having this terrible fall, and he ends up, you know, basically cracking open his skull and having this terrible injury. So he has, like, these, like, you know, like kind of like stitches in his head and these staples and everything. And he's kind of pretty much told that he can never ride again, because if he falls again, that could be like the end for him, and he could die. And he's kind of has to figure out what he's going to do. And he's like, you know, that's all he's ever done is, you know, ride horses, and that's been his whole life, and that's how he's made a living and everything. And the movie kind of has, some people have kind of compared a little bit to The Wrestler, and it has that sort of vibe to that film a little bit. And it's essentially, though, like, he doesn't know what he's going to do, and he also has a friend that had an accident too, and it shows what a condition that he is in from this accident, and it kind of shows him that if he does ride again, this is what could happen to him. And it's kind of him kind of juggling between the whole thing of if he wants to do that, to kind of like not be happy and just kind of work a normal kind of job, or be happy but then be risking his life by doing it. But this has on here a Q&A on here, as well as a Q&A, you know, with a Q&A with the director, as well as a Q&A with the main actor in this movie. And the next one's here from CBS Paramount. Just want to let you guys know these ones are available. And this is the complete first season here of the TV show SEAL Team 1. And this is basically, though, all about this Navy SEALs team. And it's pretty much, I just started checking this out, and it's basically, though, about the head guy who's kind of going through his own sort of kind of problems in his life. And it also talks about, you know, the people on this team, and it kind of shows their problems that they're going on behind the scenes in their life. And then it's also about them kind of in the early days of training for these missions, and that kind of all the sorts of things that they go through. On here, though, it has a whole bunch of different featurettes. It has a featurette on location, has a set tour, it has a gag reel, it has deleted scenes on this one. So tons and tons of stuff on this. And then the next one is from CBS Paramount as well, and this is NCIS New Orleans, the complete fourth season, and this is the spin-off series from NCIS. It's basically, though, about this team, and it's all set, you know, in New Orleans, and it's kind of them, you know, investigating, like, kind of murders and kind of, like, high kind of profile type cases that they're kind of investigating. And it's sort of like, all the kind of stuff that they go through, in their investigations. I've not seen too many episodes of this show. Like the original series, these are some of these shows that I totally really missed out on this whole series, because I think NCIS went for a long time, and I think it might still be going. I don't know for sure, certain though, or not. But this has on here though some featurettes on the show. It has #1 fan questions. It has deleted scenes on this one. But if you guys are fans of this series though, like I said, want to let you guys know that this one is available. The next ones here are from Vinegar Syndrome. And this is a movie here called The House of the Dead. And this is an anthology horror film. And I feel like the idea of this might have slightly inspired Tales from the Hood a little bit, because it's about a guy who is he ends up taking a cab back to I think he's going back to his hotel or something, and the cab driver ends up letting him off in this weird area in the middle of nowhere, and he's like, it starts to rain and stuff, and he kind of wanders into this, this guy says, well, come inside and stuff, and he comes inside, and it's this mortuary, and it's this guy in there, this really weird, like, mortician, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna tell you some stories, and there's all these, like, coffins and caskets, I think there's, like, 4 or 5 of them, and he ends up, telling him the stories of how the people ended up in the coffin. So it's got a similar vibe to Tales from the Hood, and it's like one of them was this woman who was like a teacher, and there was like these really creepy kids in there. There was one that was sort of like a Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer type thing, about this guy who was filming like his encounters with women. He had like this professional camera that he like would secretly film women that came to the house, and then he would end up like killing them and everything. I can't remember what the other 2 were, but like the top first 2 were the best ones on this. But it was like a pretty interesting anthology film that I never had heard of before. This has on here though the new 2K scan of the film. Looks really really good though. Really great transfer on this one, as well as a commentary track on here. No, audio interview on here with the director, audio interview on here with the screenwriter. It also has a reversible artwork as well of this one, because it was also originally called, another title it was released under was Alien Dead, which was kind of weird, because like I don't know how they came with that title, because there was really nothing like alien at all about it. But it was, I don't know, I don't know how they got that title. The other one here is from Vinegar Syndrome, and this is a really really sad film here called Buddies. This is one of the first films to deal with the subject of AIDS, because this is right when AIDS was becoming a really prevalent thing, and this is one of the first movies to actually talk about it. And it's basically though about this guy who is dying of AIDS, this one guy who ends up going and being a buddy, and it's like a system that they had set up where it was people who were in the gay community would come and help kind of become just sort of like spend time with people who were terminally ill from AIDS and dying. And he was coming to the hospital to see this guy and to be his buddy and to be friends with him, and kind of talk to him about everything. And it's essentially though him coming and talking to him and sort of trying to talk about his life, and they're kind of talking about his life as well, talking to each other. And it's just a very sad thing about the whole thing. And it's, I don't know, it's just a very very well made character piece film, but this really really sad subject matter. This has on here though a newly scanned 2K scan from the 16mm negative. It has a video interview on here with one of the co-stars, video interview with a film historian on this one as well. But this is actually like a really 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 well made, like I said, character piece film. And the next one here is from Terror Films. It's a movie here called Savage Land, and this is done like a documentary, and it's like one of those sort of like TV kind of documentaries, but it really really is like feels super authentic. It's about this this serial killer who went and killed basically every single person in this small town. And it's, like I said, it's done like with interviews from people from the town, like cops and everything, kind of talking about it, talking about the killer. But then it's also talking about like this creepy aspect on the whole thing, because there's like more that they're discovering though about this guy, and that he was taking these pictures of these weird things that he was seeing, and it makes it seem more and more like that it might not exactly be this person or exactly what they think, and there might be some really creepy aspects to actually what had happened to this people in this town. But this, like I said, was very very well done for seeming like an authentic documentary, and like with all the interviews and the way it was cut together and everything, and it just really had that feel to it. The next one is from Terror Films as well, and it's a movie here called Dead Body. It's about a group of these friends who were, just graduated from high school. They're all getting ready to go away to college. Most of them are going to be going to Harvard, and a lot of them were like on the wait list and everything to get into Harvard. And like it was originally supposed to be like a small group of people, but then like other people were inviting other friends, and the one guy's like, oh, why'd you invite all these other people? It was supposed to just be us. And little by little there's like more and more people. It has like all the different kind of characters, like the bully, the emo, the hipster, all the different kinds of characters you can think of that kind of came to this party. And they all come up with this idea to play this game where it's like called Dead Body, where like there's like one, draw your name out of a hat, and one of the people is the killer, and like they have to kind of figure out who it is. And the killer, people all go and hide, then the killer goes and pinches you, and if you get pinched you die. And then they have to kind of like all gather every little while throughout the game and kind of talk about who they think the killer could be. And that's essentially what it is. But there's a twist that's going on where, little by little as this goes along, whoever this person is, the killer, there's actually someone going off and killing these people for real, and then it's like them actually really dealing with this situation. And so it's got kind of like a Clue kind of vibe to this whole thing that's happening. There's some really like, crazy deaths and stuff in this one, but this was actually pretty cool. Like like I said, it was kind of Clue mixed with a horror movie here. And the next one here is from the American Genre Film Archive, and it's a movie called The Lady Street Fighter. And this is basically about this woman whose sister was killed. And this woman is a cop, and they ended up killing this woman because they thought that it was actually her. They had them kind of mixed up. And it's basically about a revenge film about her going after the people that killed her sister. And it's like, got kind of like crazy kind of karate type fight scenes and stuff. And it's one of those like, sort of like So Bad It's Good kind of movies, because it's really crazy, over the top kind of stuff, especially some of the acting and stuff in this. But it has on here the bonus film that was never actually released, which is the sequel to the film from 1990, Revenge of the Lady Street Fighter. And both of them are from 2K scans from the original 35mm negative, so both of these ones look really, really good. But this is just a really fun kind of, like I said, kind of crazy, over the top thing. And it's kind of funny too, it has on here one of the places that this movie played. A lot of them were all played in like San Diego, but one of them, the theater that's still here for now, I don't think it's going to be here much longer, it was played in Horton Plaza, which is kind of cool that they actually was one of the places that actually played this movie. And the theater I've been to a couple different times in downtown San Diego. But, this is actually, like I said, a really fun movie. This has on here, though, a commentary track as well with the director. The next one here is from PBS, and this is Arthur, D.W. and the Beastly Birthday. And this one, it's always fun to see, like, some of the newer Arthurs, because I remember watching this one, I think I was, like, 10 when the show started, something like that. I remember always seeing it like right when I was going to school. It was always on the morning. You always think of that opening with that song and everything. But this is actually a movie. I think it's like an hour and something long, and it's actually like a whole adventure about like the going to this planetarium. Every time I think of planetarium, I think of South Park when they say planetarium, or like one of the early seasons. But they go into this planetarium, and it's kind of like the adventure there, and it's like it's also about like a birthday party and like DW's birthday party and like missing the party because Arthur goes to this planetarium with his friends, and it's kind of this whole adventure and stuff. It was actually kind of fun to see this again. I never actually saw them do a movie of Arthur, and it also has on here bonus Arthur's birthday, which is one of the really early episodes. That was one of the ones I really remember. But like throughout the years, some of the voice actors and stuff have changed, like the person who voiced Arthur. But a lot of the like DW, I think like Buster has always been the same voice. The next one here is from Olive Films and Slasher Video, and this is a movie here called Streets of Vengeance, and this is a a real throwback kind of grindhouse style film, and this is done, like I said, is a grindhouse film. It's basically, though, about these women that are all kind of going together and getting revenge on these bad guys. And it's like them going after them. And it's like crazy, like attacks and deaths and stuff for them. And like crazy stuff that they're doing. If you guys like, crazy like revenge films, like it really does feel like a lost, like, I guess like a 70-something grindhouse film. It's like the way they did it and everything with the music, old school synth and everything to this one, and like the acting and everything just has that real old school vibe to this one. This has on here, though, making a featurette on here. It has on-set footage and outtakes. It has and then it also has a bunch of different trailers on here as well, and some trailers for some of the other films the director did as well. The next one here is from Altered Innocence. It's a movie here called John From. It's about this girl who ends up, kind of becoming like obsessed with her neighbor, this guy who's like an older guy, and he has this exhibit about like tribal kind of like photos and things like that. And it's kind of about her kind of like imagining like her life with this older guy that she becomes obsessed with, and she's kind of like sees herself in like this, in his kind of his world, and it's pretty much just about her becoming obsessed with this guy, and just kind of like her, and it's all like really, really well filmed, really great cinematography and everything to this one. But it's all, like I said, it's just sort of like kind of about obsession, and like the first person you kind of become obsessed with when you're like a teenager, that's sort of kind of thing, like the first guy that you kind of like. That's sort of what this one was here. And I believe it's a film from Portugal, I'm pretty sure. This has on here, though, trailers as well for other Altered Innocence releases. This one here is, I'll put a link for you guys can order this one. This is the Leaf Blower Massacre 2. And this is basically, though, about a killer who's like this kind of like a gardener kind of character, has a leaf blower. And he's going around and like killing people. And it's like, some really crazy, super like over the top, ridiculous kind of deaths. And it's pretty much like, because the original Leaf Blower Massacre was a short film, and it has that one included as well on here. But it's, the one character from the first one is kind of trying to investigate as well who it was and catch the actual killer. But it's just like, crazy kind of, deaths and stuff like that, about this character going after everybody. But this is actually really, really fun, over the top, ridiculous one. And like Ari Lehman, who was like the first Jason, he has a little cameo in here. There's a couple other little cameos as well that pop up in this one. And the last one here is from Left releasing. This is a, so keep in mind with this one, this is a region B release, so you guys have to have a region-free Blu-ray player to play this one. All region Blu-ray player, so it's a region 2 release, so you got, like I said, it's a region-free DVD player to play this. But it's a movie here called Dodged, and this is basically, though, about this kid who ends up coming back to his town, this small kind of coastal kind of like island town that the area was reminding me, I think they might have been the same area where they shot the, Daniel Radcliffe film Women in Black. I think, because it had like the same kind of area where the water would kind of flood over this road. I might be wrong, but it really looked like that area. But essentially, though, this girl had died, and they said that she fell off these cliffs. And the kid, though, comes back to town, like his parents are giving him a lot of grief and stuff because he left and everything. And he's kind of acting like there's something weird about this. It's got like sort of a the Wicker Man kind of vibe, where everyone in the town is sort of acting sort of suspicious and strange, and kind of not really talking about things, and kind of like changing the subject and everything. And this guy is sort of trying to figure out exactly what really happened here, and kind of trying to investigate it. But it's actually kind of creepy, and like I said, it's kind of like it really has like a Wicker Man sort of feel to it. Anyway, guys, that's all for the review portion of this video. Thanks again for watching, subscribing, and I'll see you guys later.